this is a PlayStation Portal. I've been using this device for just over a few weeks now, and I'm not sure, well, not over a few weeks. I actually have been using it for just under 2 weeks. So I'm not really sure what all the negativity was around regarding this device, and here are the main reasons why. So for number one, this device does exactly what it was made and intended to do. And to be honest, in my experience, or from what I've actually done with the device, it does it very, very, very well. Just to provide some context, as I do my testing, there were a few things I saw from the early reviews of the device that made me very wary, or probably not even wanting the device, or thinking that basically the device wouldn't deliver on its promises. The main issue that I kind of saw with this is connection issues and streaming glitches, which to some degree can go hand in hand, but there's actually a slight difference between the two. Now, the PlayStation Portal, or rather the PlayStation 5 installed video game remote streaming accessory, or PS5 IVGA for short, which is what it should have been called in the first place, is for me simply perfect. Now, in fact, I have encountered only like one issue with the device. Now, just to be clear, Sony has put out an update for the device recently, so I do have the updated software in comparison to the launch units. This is important to state because many devices upon launch could be considered a really big, like a beta stress test. So especially for something that is basically tied to online streaming, especially if anyone is doing, like, they're having some big launch for some mobile game or something like that, they do want to do stress test. Now, of course, it's a hardware device, so unless you're gonna have it for a person to utilize in their hands, there's really nothing else that can be said about that. So we can then see that what works and what doesn't work is basically a lot of what I consider the feedback of the first reviews. Now, prior to that update, I actually only played one game on the device, and that was Final Fantasy 16 Echoes of the Fallen, because I got the device on the night of the Game Awards, which was ironically my birthday. So I loaded up the device and I actually jumped right in to kind of test that out. Now, since the update, however, I have tested many other games, two of which I had high hopes of actually finding issues based on all the reviews and all the issues that other persons have actually mentioned. Well, to my surprise, or rather joy, I didn't have any issues. Those two games are some weird FPS called Destiny that no one has heard of, I'm sure. And of course, the recent demo for the upcoming fighting game, which I definitely know everyone has been speaking about, Tekken 8. If you didn't catch the sarcasm, I'm not sure, it probably didn't come off well, I apologize. I am, of course, reading off a script. Now, one of the things that I don't currently own all the major games, such as Spider-Man 2, as I plan to kind of play that game and savor it a little bit later on, like a 4-hour Lord of the Rings uncut movie. And the reason why I state that is because I've seen a number of persons showing streaming issues for that game. But for my testing, I don't even own things like Gran Turismo 7, which admittedly is a game that I really want, but I'm not sure I'll actually eventually get it because I have Forza Motorsports on Game Pass. Again, please don't judge me. So I'll keep this to a Sony video. Now, the games that I have played, for example, like Final Fantasy 16, Destiny, God of War Ragnarok, Tales of Arise, Tekken 8, have been the games I have been like trying out the device with, and I'm happy to say every single one of them have played almost flawlessly. In fact, what surprised me the most is how well the FPS game and the fighting game outperformed the seemingly open world smaller games that you can roam around, and the 30 FPS game like Final Fantasy and Tales of Arise. Um, and if you know those games, you kind of understand why. Like Taser Rises and multiple characters, they're like, you know, in that brawl, like it's not like a top down mobile, but at the end of the day, you know, it's a massive brawl. There's a lot happening on the screen. Granted the graphics isn't going to be as labor intensive. This is a PS4 game that was ported over to the PS5. But something like Final Fantasy 16, which was built for the PS5, when I first started it, I did see some issues there. Now, what I could see was like slight input lag when I first started the game. But again, this, I must say that this is me testing out the game on the original software for the device. This is before I actually applied the 2.0.5 update that was released last week. Now, I plan to finish like Miles Morales before diving into Spider-Man 2, and I think this device is going to help me be able to finish some of those backlog games. Hopefully before, of course, Final Fantasy Rebirth, which may become my go-to game for the first quarter of 2024 calendar year. Besides from that game and that new Prince of Persia game, I think I have enough games to kind of keep me, like, you know, jumping around different types of games, keep like content, to make some content and stream and actually enjoy and savor those titles. Now, I do want to address 2 points. Firstly, I'm in the US at the moment on business, while my PS5 is actually hardwired in another country, Jamaica. So I strongly believe that I have all right to state that this device does exactly what I wanted it to do, and I am the intended audience. Okay. Now, I had set up the whole pre-order for the PlayStation Portal, so I could hopefully have gotten it from November 15th, as I knew I wouldn't have been able to carry the slug of the PS5 across land, sea, and sky. And I also wouldn't have been able to afford a new one while I'm away from home. So I had already set up like my remote play service, as I have used it before at home in the comfort of my throne, if you know what I mean. But playing on an iPhone 13 Pro Max still saw many lags and delays from, you know, PS5 to two doors down in the gaming room or the living room. So it didn't actually make sense to me, because it's something that I wanted to be able to do, to play remotely from my device while in the comfort of my home. When I go to a different section, I had nothing but input lag and issues. To be honest, Final Fantasy Remake was barely unplayable because of it. You wanted to play something so dedicated but and action heavy, but it just wouldn't work. So that's going to be one of the next games I'm going to test out to kind of compare. And I regret not having any footage of capturing that, but probably when I get home, I'll probably do a follow-up video on that piece to kind of compare and contrast. I heard a lot of people say that remote play already existed and there's no point to this device. I really don't know what they're talking about. If anybody comes to you and tells you that remote play existed for the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 4, they haven't tried remote play. I have remote play on my laptop here, and my laptop defaults to 720p, which I have no idea why, because I know for a fact the internet here and at home is very sufficient to capture that 1080p. And at the same time, I can feel lag. I could have felt lag even in the middle of my house. Now, again, that's due to my setup. So, and to me, this was not due to my connection issue from many attempts at usage, but due to a multitude of apps running in the background on an iPhone that constantly use the Wi-Fi connection, and that's another issue with mobile remote play. You have other things that are there in the background that you have no control of turning on, unless you install some other software that is able to limit every single thing on the device that is using the internet and only allow one specific app, being the PlayStation app, to set it up. So I already had my setup there at home. I already had the app installed, everything was connected. This thing just works for me. Now, again, I want to stress a few things. I had a 100 megabit upload and download speed to kind of like focus on my remote play at home. Now I'm stressing megabits per second upload, not gigabits like many persons here in the States may be able to access. And other reviewers have actually touted that they have the best internet service, yet still the device doesn't work for them. Now I can't speak to why that is the case, but it kind of leads to my second point. This is a streaming device, so logically, the internet connectivity wherever you go may have some impact on the gameplay. Yet many persons seemingly curse the device for just that. It's like I sense that there might be some ignorance on my part, um, and I won't pretend as I won't pretend as though I know the ins and outs of technology. Um, but one thing I do know is that there can be many factors, especially if you have other things connected, which a lot of persons who are in this industry may have other things connected to that Wi-Fi that they're testing out, um, that can impact the streaming. Now, your device from the device into the cloud and then back to your device, multitude of things can happen anywhere in between those 2 to 3 connections that is needed for this device to actually function. But again, happily for me, I've had no issues. And again, I want to stress, my device is in Jamaica. I'm in the United States. I'm very far from my device. I set up everything remotely from my app as they kind of instructed. This device was made for me in terms of in this purpose and in this time. Now, I say that, but I also have to say this. I did have one issue, and I faced it over and over and over again. There's a very long wait time for me to actually connect to the device. In fact, so I'm not even sure if this can actually come across on the screen properly. So whenever you load up the device, you definitely have this loading screen where it tries to portal in. As soon as you turn on the device, it tries to actually portal into your PlayStation 5. So really and truly, this is kind of one of those things that a lot of persons are going to be upset about. It takes a while to connect. I have no idea why. It did it before the update and since the update as well. Um, but it is kind of like one of my main issues. I can't recall if I've ever had like any connection drops while gaming, but if I did, it's probably once, and basically just went back to the screen, of course. So as soon as the device loads up, it actually just goes to this portal screen for you and is asking you to and just trying to make that connection to your device. Now, by right, this should make sense because it should take some time. I'm probably gonna time how long this. Oh, now it's ready. So I can actually press X for it to portal in. And I can enter my password. And I'm in. So yeah, it should make sense. You know, the device will take some time to connect. My issue, however, is component by the device telling me that it's connecting for seemingly like 2 to 5 minutes, sometimes up to almost 8 minutes. I've tested it, I've timed it. I think the highest one has gone up to about 7 minutes and 30 seconds, so I'll call it roughly 8 minutes. So for gaming, it feels like a decade, or almost like back when we had mechanical hard drives, which the PlayStation 5, of course, doesn't have. With that, basically takes just a long time for games to load. I remember Final Fantasy 15, of course. So really and truly, that's kind of been the main issue that I've had with the device. The device itself sometimes enters like a sleep mode while actually trying to make this connection, which is another problem that I have. So basically, on that loading screen, is trying to connect to the PlayStation 5. The screen actually goes to a sleep mode, and then when it goes to that sleep mode, you have to restart the connection for it to connect to the PlayStation 5. Again, my experience may be different. I didn't actually see anybody kind of like go into depth about that. I think that people just treat it like as a connection, but I think it's definitely something that's linked to the software, and I hope that will be updated or fixed. Um, I mean, logically it should make sense that you should be able to just connect to your device, but it should logically take some time because it's trying to establish a Wi-Fi connection through the cloud. Now, I want to end by, um, kind of like saying that I did a bit of a test, and if it does happen, I actually like immediately cancel out that section where it's trying to load to it, and then just click restart the connection. So if I turn on my device and I see it's taking a while to load, I just turn it back off, press circle, cancel the connection, and then restart it, and then on the second attempt it goes through. I can't say I'm actually doing anything, but I tried it a couple of times and that's what worked for me. So I want to kind of end by saying this device is advertised to cost $200, and a lot of people complained about the price for the device, for the heft, the quality, and everything that I'm getting for this device in comparison to my Switch, which of course can play games natively. I think the price is fine. It has an amazing screen. The quality feels premium. I actually like the bumper triggers a little bit better than the actual controller itself. They're a little bit smaller, and of course they're far wider, so it actually allows me to use the device a little bit more. It's very comfortable to hold. But this is really me like giving a rundown of the device itself and how it feels. There's another video I already did for that in terms of my own version of an unboxing. But to be honest, the device feels comfortable. My issue though is that the price can be a little bit misleading depending on how you look at it, because if you really want to keep this device, you should budget in for $25 to $50 screen and screen protector in a case, because this device has a bit of heft and quality, and it's clearly susceptible to being damaged. And for those avoiding like the scalper prices, I mean, scalping is still happening, even though, well, I think not even though, because of course Sony promised this device would have been in stock in early December. I waited until early December, so stock is just coming out now. And if you're not a trigger finger happy or refreshing multiple screens between Best Buy, Walmart, the PlayStation Store, and no GameStop, which finally just got stock, and I think Walmart just got stock as well, come to think of it, you really and truly, you might end up if you wanted this for Christmas, some persons might still end up paying scalper prices. So for me, think about budgeting like a $25 to $50 screen and case, to keep, to make sure that this device is actually there. So, and for those who avoid scalping prices and wish to get it for the holiday like me, they may end up spending like an extra $50 Ubering back and forth to their favorite GameStop to actually get it on their birthday. Just saying. So, in truth, I probably still ended up paying scalper prices, especially with an international card and international rates. But the positive thing is I actually got like quite a number of a few free stuff actually going into the GameStop store. I actually got some, you could consider the screen and the case an added bonus. What's important to me though is that the device works, and it works well. It works so well, in fact, that my wife has already laid claim to it. So please feel free to subscribe, follow, like the channel, while considering to support the channel as I save to buy another one, along with another PlayStation 5, because yeah, you can only pair one PlayStation 5 portal to any PS5 at a time. Nicely done, Sony. Nicely done.
所詮は雑魚だったな。話にならんな。